Oh, yeah, he'd try to, tell me to do something. Well, the colonel says, well, I don't care who you think you are, you don't tell me what to do.
Well, did you believe that?
I think he might be doing some things, but no, not really. I mean, he's got his little weapons he would show on screen on the Skype and whatnot, and it's like he talked about knowing Krav Maga, and it's just like, yeah, whatever,
Krav Maga, you're talking about a martial art?
Yeah. He's, frankly, I think he's just a little wussy.
Okay. Well, now, something happened where... now, Tina, you have a young daughter that just recently, not very long ago, turned 16, and there was something that happened there that I think it's very important to point out. But tell me about the things he was trying to entice you to do. Move to Israel with him and what have you. What exactly was that about?
Well, he had talked about, and it was really kind of early on, that he talked about us being a family, and I was kind of surprised and taken aback by that. And then, he talked about he was going to be PNG'd, by the government, and he was trying to get citizenship at Israel because of the fact that he's Jew. And asked if we'd go. My daughter was like, yeah, I'd like to go because, I'd like to study college in the Dead Sea. So,
well, when you knew him back in school, was he Jewish?
No.
He was. No. Did he claim to have any religious affiliation then?
He was Christian, just like most everybody else. The majority in school at that time.
Do you have any idea where this Jewish persona came from?
Yeah, I do. There was a woman that he knew, a professor from Stanford, I believe it was, that he was with when he was writing one of his books, another person by the name of Tina, and she was Jewish, and, I think he just kind of became enamored with that and decided to go for it. I have no idea what goes on in the little mind that's kind of tweaked, so.
Okay, but to get back to your daughter, what exactly? Why don't you just go ahead and give me a rendition of what happened there?
Okay, well, he kept promising to come. He would be here by July, then he'd say August and September, and just keep going on and on and on. I was like, you know what? I'm getting a little tired of this. And back in August, before we went on our vacation, he got the nasty look from me. He knew I was thinking he was lying.
Lying about what?
About everything, about coming here, about everything. And he even sent me an email via Facebook saying, yeah, I got the feeling you think I'm lying, or there's no room for untruths. Let's talk about this. Well, I never did bring that up. So come in November, he's supposed to be going to Pakistan, Afghanistan, or whatever.
This is just this past year, 2010.
Oh yeah. So he keeps telling me he's going to send me an email, he's going to contact me before he leaves. Never does. I got really agitated. It's like, you know what? I'm getting real tired of this bullshit. So he sends me this long email. Finally sends me this long email. He's not going to be coming here for 6 months to a year, blah, blah, blah. So my daughter sees it. She's seen every email. I never hit anything. So I told him. I said, well, she saw the email. She's not too happy. And, I don't be surprised if you get a nastygram. He goes, well, you can show her any email I've written. So I said, well, I already did. So she responds to him saying that, I don't think it was right for you to F around with our family. You had never had any intentions. You were nothing but lying. And it was a short email, but he countered back with some calling her an anti-Semite, calling her a terrorist, just going off. And it was really horrid, the rant that he did on her, that she basically was upset for a few days.
On an adolescent girl?
Yeah, on an adolescent girl. I mean, I sent that email to several of my friends. I sent that email, actually more than several of my friends, just to let them know how much of a butthead he really was. I don't hate him as a person. No one should ever hate as a person. I hate his actions. What he did was wrong. What he did was totally out of line. But he says that, oh, well, yeah, it's your Christian thinking that's doing that. No, it's not. That's not morally right what he did. So she, finally, when she decided to bring herself back up, she fought back. And she owned that man. If they were in a debate, he's calling her that, well, I won't respond to this because you'll be unarmed. No, she responded, and he responded back, and the hell of it was, she owned him, owned that man.
Now,
I wonder how it feels being owned by a 16-year-old, because she's got a hell of a lot more smarts than he does.
let me ask you, there was something else recently that he's been blathering about, which I think, according to what you told me prior, he was trying to use against you about allegedly a love affair with a princess from the nation of India.
I saw that email. I just about rolled over laughing. A couple of my coworkers saw. We just rolled over laughing.
Can you tell me? Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. He sends me an email saying, "Update. The Princess Kumar of India is requesting a meeting with me. I don't know what she wants." Like, okay, yeah, you never met the woman, Princess Kumar. So then either a day or some hours later, he's got another update. I think it was a few hours later. Oh, another update. Princess Kumar of India made me CEO of the new Priya Mitra organization, which doesn't exist. So I'm just going, oh, gag me, doing the finger to the throat, going, yeah, you're so full of yourself. Then I get another one a little while later saying, she has proposed marriage to me, and I'm going to accept. I know this doesn't make you happy. I'm like, oh, good Lord, that really just did it. It's like, you are freaking crazy. Certifiable, need a fucking straitjacket crazy. There is no two ways about it. Anybody who's going to sit there and believe that. I do know something about the Indian culture, working with enough of them in the IT industry. I'm an IT professional, and that's another thing. He doesn't know a whole lot about computers as he thinks he does.
Well,
he's out there in La La Land. He needs to be in Disneyland or something, locked up.
Okay. Well, Tina, I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come on and discuss this. We're going to be doing a roundtable here coming up next, and I want to thank you. I really appreciate that.
No problem. Like I say, I don't think Cal would really know what the truth is, and if you look at his website, he always says he doesn't like to repeat himself, but if you look at all the postings he does, he repeats himself all the time.
Well, thank you so much. Do you have any final remarks or comments?
Yeah, Cal, come on and get a piece of me if you really want it that bad. I'm waiting.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, next we have Mr. Kevin Randle, Mr. David Biedny, and the gentleman known as FN, Foxtrot Nancy, coming right up. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now back, and I have joining me now for the roundtable, which will complete this broadcast, Lieutenant Colonel retired Kevin Randle, Mr. David Biedny, and the gentleman that we know as Foxtrot November. And we're going to finish this up. Gentlemen, the source of this entire program was to relay the experiences and things that have occurred with this Mr. Kalvin K. Korff. And who wants to start up the round top? Because I have interviewed all of you individually, and now I think this is, in order to finish this up correctly, we should kind of kick this around a little bit. Who would like to lead off?
I would like to point out we shouldn't refer to him as Mr. It's an honorific he does not deserve.
Amen there. That's Kevin, right? Amen.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Well, I was trying to be polite, but if you gentlemen insist, then that's fine with me.
There's nothing about this whole little gathering that you could possibly put under the label. Let's be honest.
Well, okay, you're right. But, this is something. Actually, a couple of you have mentioned earlier to me that it's really a genuine shame that we've got to waste 2 hours of time, and actually a hell of a lot more time put into this that I'll never get back in my shortening life. And this is one of those things that you know, it's unfortunate, but I feel absolutely very, very strongly that this is something that had to be done. This guy has gone out of his way, especially with David and with Kevin, to make your lives miserable and to embarrass you publicly. And you know what the man said to me one time, gentlemen? What goes around comes around.
Yeah, sadly, I suspect, though, Don, that the net result of, like I said to you on the one-on-one we did, this is just basically going to feed this guy to, you know, fall even deeper into his delusional fantasy. You know, so hopefully there's some catharsis for us, not that I expect there would be, because sadly this stalker will continue to make appearances and will continue to try to make things different. Obviously, this is a guy who is not thinking along any kind of rational, you know, methodology. He basically is just lashing out, and sadly, where, you know, we would hope that whoever potentially would still take this guy seriously, who, you know, which I hope would be pretty much nobody, whoever hears this is just maybe going to get a couple of laughs out of it, but all that ultimately in terms of Korff is to just continue to drive him and motivate him to continue his madness. So sadly, this is kind of a catch-22 situation, I think.
Well, Foxtrot, what...
I was going to say the same thing, that basically this kind of feeds Korff's ego, because we're spending this time talking to him, and so he sees himself as important. I see it more as just kind of a joke. I mean, here's a guy who claims to be a colonel, an organization he invented in his mind, and always has to make sure, and I usually, when I write anything, you know, I am a colonel, damn it, and stamp your foot here, type thing, that he has to bring all of this stuff up. He's not just the owner of Critical Thinkers. He's the CEO and the CFO and the BOQ and every other initiative you can throw at it to make himself important. And I think almost everybody in the free world and in the former communist countries as well realize the guy's a clown.
Clearly. So yeah, absolutely. And sadly, he's not the only field. I mean, so much of the time what ends up happening is that it ends up coming down to, you know, infighting, clashes of personality, people basically promoting their, you know, little agendas and desperately seeking attention. I mean, this is one of the reasons that I found it really to sort of pull away from this whole field in general. I had come in as an experiencer who was trying to engage in rational discussions about this stuff and point out bullshit where there was bullshit to be pointed out. But what became clear to me in trying to do that was that a large number of people who look at this stuff are doing so really only to be entertained and to as at these kinds of little infights and go, oh, you know, look, it's kind of like the equivalent of wrestling. And meanwhile, any attempt to have decent discussions about the interesting, anomalous stuff that is, you know, the primary pull towards this, that all gets sort of wasted. It all gets basically drowned out. So, you know, Korff will go away, and there'll be 5 of him to take his place.
I don't think that's quite right. I don't think there'll be anybody to take his place because he is delusional. And I think a lot of the people who are in the field are there, the big fish in the little pond. Korff is just running around the shore trying to jump into the pond, and nobody will have him.
Yeah.
Well, now to be perfectly fair, and saying fair and Korff in the same sentence is very, very difficult for me. But to be fair, back in the 90s when he wrote his book on the Meyer cult and spaceships from the Pleiades, or whatever the hell it was called, a lot of people gave him props for that book. But it was like after this book when he increasingly went off the rails. For example, the Art Bell fiasco that happened, where he accused Bell of exerting pressure because of Bell's